Today, we are joined by Sina Moini, founder and CEO of Consulting Growth. He has helped many startups with their funding and making a profitable and healthy business. The first question that we want to lead with today is, what are the financial struggles that the startups face? Like, what are the top maybe financial challenges? Because we know the startups face many challenges, starting from like finding the right team, marketing, and then standing out within their competition. But like one of the other issues that they have is a lot of financial struggles and challenges. And we want to talk about those today, and then we will segue into goal settings and those topics afterwards.
Thank you very much for having me, Carol. It's been a very pleasure, joining this, talking over the financial struggle, since we as finance veterans are very much involved lately with these, struggles facing by, startups. So, yeah, definitely, there are actually many, sometimes, before I thought we are facing with this handful number of challenges, but these days the conditions is so unstable, and unprecedented challenges really day to day startups are facing. And if you ask me, I can prioritize by in terms of, first of all, not having a clear goal, and then this must be on the top priority that the owners really are concerned about. And probably next are, and from what we have seen, lately, is that they are not having this much of cash flow, raising funds, building a team. And these are the top priorities. So we may like say, initiate the talk about the probably the goal setting, because this is kind of a prerequisite of, even if you've got the idea on the piece of paper, you should have equipped with the clear and understandable, let's say, goal. Why not?
I did a lot of research, and there are many surveys out there, and I'm sure you have seen firsthand in the real world that like almost 50% of startups, they don't make it to the 5th year of their operation. And one of the top challenges that they might have in terms of their finances is, like, as you mentioned, cash flow problems, or like not raising enough funds. Or raising enough capital at the beginning, because we all get excited about the idea. We're like, oh, we have this business idea, we really want to do this. And then we don't sit down as the owners and the founders to do the calculation and come up with a plan of how much money actually we need. The other one that I came across with is a lot of startups, they're so proud of bootstrapping their business, and they're like, oh, we used our own money to start this thing. And it's a great thing, and it's an amazing thing to be proud of, but we really need to understand how much debt they have gone under, like credit card debt, line of credits, to be able to bootstrap the business. So these are the challenges that come to mind, like on top of the list, and the list goes on and on, as you know.
Yeah, I know, definitely. No, I'm not even countable. Yeah, I see. But the point is that according to your experiences, you see, if you want to, give a number to them, which one is the number one among these challenges?
When I look at all these challenges, I think like all these roll up into having that plan in the first place to start the business.
The blueprint is something that, acts like this very clear roadmap when you are sitting and thinking of the objectives and the future, the process, the systems, and every vital components of your startups, whether it is on top, of course, finance, strategy, marketing, and stuff like that. So, but we should know that the truth about, even if we are very expert in sailing. We need a lantern, to show us the shore, and in whatever form that is. I remember this tragic story of Titanic, the guys were so expert in that, and in that sailing, a lot of years of experiences. But they even knew that they are in the known zone of icebergs. But probably because of this over, optimism, or not thinking about real things. So they finally hit the iceberg, and that tragic ending occurred. I'm much of my emphasis has been on making people understand that how important this blueprint is. And a blueprint has no any specific template, as you know, and I'm sure that you have definitely also seen when working with the startup there, right? I mean, working with, showing them the roadmap, all right, where you are and what you should do. And they are still thinking of uh, raising their market share before they even want to realize if they have this market product fit thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So what you think? At your end.
Yeah, I always hear this question: should we really set financial goals for our startups? Because like personally, a lot of us set a lot of goals, especially at the beginning of each year. We come up with list of like New Year's resolutions. But when it
Yeah.
comes to our financial goals for the startups or the business that we are running, sometimes we just rush into because we are so excited. We really want to get into the next thing, and it's like a little baby that we are going to grow, and like sometimes we forgot those foundations. And as you said, like starting with that blueprint and having a roadmap to show where you are now, what do you want to achieve, like let's say in the next year or next quarter, like financially, operationally, and then from there you get into the action and then see if you have met your goals or not. So let's just dive into maybe characteristic of a goal.
Yeah.
Talk about,
Yeah.
like, we have heard this acronym as SMART. Goals needs to be a SMART, but a lot of examples that we have seen for a small SMART goals, they are all like in terms of our personal life. But let's talk about how we can make that a SMART goals applicable in real business, like a specific. When we say a SMART, we say a specific, measurable. What is the other one? Remind me.
Attainable,
Attainable,
attainable, relevant. Yeah, and
relevant or
indeed.
realistic, and
Yeah.
timely or time-based. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so
Yeah,
for
for
example,
sure.
like you brought up a very good example of a company wants to increase their market share. Like even
Yeah.
if that is their goal, how can we make that a SMART goal? Like increasing a market share is not a SMART. Like what do you even mean by that? Like let's go in deep in and really be specific.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then let's see how we can make that measurable. Like let's say, what's your market share right now? How much, or what's the percentage? How much, let's say, revenue you are making right now? And then make it very specific and measurable and relevant. Like let's say I want to increase my market share by 30%, which is really specific, and then give it a time frame. Let's say by the end of next year, I want to achieve that. Yeah, having that vision, it's
Yeah.
great, but like you
Mm,
need to have the
mm,
blueprint and
yeah.
road. What is your experience?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. The thing is, just continuing with this market share things, or they might have this very unclear, financial goals that, all right, I'm going to have or increase my margin by, for example, 20%. Even if they say that 20%, you have already mentioned how the specific it should be. It should, mention or at least depict in breaking down or cascade form that, all right, you want to increase your market share, where your market is, if your product is working in a market. Have you got some traction beforehand? Are there any survey or I don't know, feedback from customers like this? And this is how you're assessing your, ideas on some, different pillars, like from a people pillar, money pillar, market, industry, and money, last but not least. But here is that stating the goal very specific helps us understand it better and make other people understand, because it is not important sometimes for the owner only to understand the goal. The other member of a team should also be in line with that. This is, one of the most, um, really important thing that we are coaching these startups, and they say that, all right, you've got a specific one, you cannot either communicate or it is not clear enough for other people to understand that. But let's just first talk about how we are maintaining that specific thing, stick to that goal. So increasing with this market share, you have to have this definitions of your market, who your ideal clients are, definitely. And this is also another big challenge, defining appropriately what ideal clients are. And also the next stage is that, okay, you have this market share thing, but before this market, have you defined some, other sub goals, like what really my product is? And have you, for example, created some dashboards in order to specifically craft the features of your product? For example, with this value proposition thing, which we should know before even developing the product, or arriving at this minimal, valuable, product, viable
Minimum.
product. Sorry, yeah. And then, so the point is that we should first of all see whether we are shooting this appropriate value proposition. Understanding the problem, the gain, the pains of the customer, where going through the customer profile, and sort of things should be also in place. So just coming up with this, all right, I'm going to increase my market share, 20, 25%, whatever percent, is not enough. Even if you know that who your ideal clients are, you should sometimes be starting from this zero thing. And then when it comes to this attainable, you may say that, all right, this is your first year, and then you're thinking of this 20%, it might be too much for you. It's really ideal. So we should, come off our horses sometimes and then think about real what the goal is achievable for us, for our capacity, for my team, because this is all interrelated, that. And the other point is, which is very important, and finance people should come in sometimes, and it's just putting a deadline for our goals. But let me just probably bring you a more, clear examples of why not financial talk sometimes. I was sitting with a client once, and she was very young, talented, newly graduated, students from electrical thing, and she was developing this app, helping disabled people to find relevant, physicians. I mean, the relevant doctors for them. And the app was very brilliant, actually, on paper. And the ideas and thoughts were so good. And I sometimes found her very concerned and worries while we were having this coaching session. And I asked her finally, what's the matter, and what you think is going on wrong, I mean, with your own business plan. She said that I'm not prepared for this pitch, and I don't know how to present. I don't know how to raise this fund. And I said that, all right, why don't you prioritize your goals first of all, and this for this specific to be seem very important goal, which is raising fund. And definitely it is every SMEs owners, startup owners to get fund. Say that let's just work on the other thing, and do not focus first of all on the presentation only for the pitch purposes, because I have seen the startups owners are putting much of their efforts on preparing these cash flows, Excel spreadsheets and presentations only for the pitch. They don't realize how important the presentation and spreadsheets is for running their own business.
Exactly, because you need to use that
Yes.
as the guideline, as you said, as the roadmap, and having that in front of you, not for the sake of just pitching. It's your plan, it's your business. Sometimes I get this question about, what do you think? Like, what do you think this plan looks like? And like, as you said, like a lot of clients in our coaching session, I say, as much as I can tell you what I think and provide like my professional judgment on these, this is your business and you need to really focus on how you
Mm-hmm.
want to execute this and how you want to plan and put it into the real world. Going back to that SMART goal and talking about how relevant it is, I think it's really important to kind of like link that to your goals and your design and your plan as the founder and how you want to execute your business. We wanted to also talk about how timely should this be. Like it depends on how fast or how slow you want to go, and your team, everyone needs to be on board. As you mentioned, this is a team effort. Like if you want to really grow in the next year and like achieve that 20-30% and that you think it's attainable, the time needs to be really compact. Like look at your goals and measure your actual performance in like week by week or month by month to make sure that you are on the right track. Or if you just want to go slowly and take your time and expand into the market little by little, so that time frame might be like every 3 months or every quarter or every 2 months. So it depends on the speed that you set in your goal setting. When you're thinking about your foundation and that roadmap, I guess the timely part of that SMART goal comes from there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, this thing reminds me of how even these attributes are, you know, attached together, like this measurable things and this timely bound. Imagine that you are the owner, and then putting this goal for yourselves. That is fine, and then without this. Giving a deadline to your goal, it seems that you are swimming and with no destination. You don't know even where you're swimming. You know, just, and then the point is that putting this label of timely bond for all, you know, objectives, making it measurable, because when we are, you know, measuring. You are in, you know, a KPI expert, and then you know how to put and how to measure, how to even give the idea of this to define the relevant KPI for them. Like, for example, they're the margin. Okay, you are selling, and then you're expanding, and you don't know where it finishes in order to come back and then, for example, divide this by the period by period. It could be weekly to annual, and then see what have you done before, and now probably learning the lessons of what you're going to apply in the future. So these two, I mean, these two or just 5 attributes are totally interrelated. We cannot deny the importance of each, but they're definitely mutually exclusive somehow.
I always give this example of like, imagine that you want to like lose weight and say you want to lose weight, like I want to lose 5 kilos.
Yeah.
What do? This is like, I want to lose weight. So that's not a SMART goal. And you say, okay, how much do I really want to lose weight? And you say, okay, I want to lose weight for like 5 kilos, let's say. And then you say, okay, 5 kilos, when? Next year, over the 10 years, when is that possible? And you say, okay, over the next year, I want to lose 5 kilos. And you say, okay, I'm not really active. I'm like, I have a very busy job. I can't really exercise. Is that 5 kilo achievable? So you go through the step by step and say, okay. And then when you set that goal, the next step is, okay, let's just go on a scale, and every month or every year or every month, every week, depends on that speed that you set at the beginning. And then compare your current weight when you go on a scale, and then compare it to that 5 kilo and see how far you are. So that's a very simple example I always give when I want to talk about the goals. But and then I want to do a fun exercise, Sina, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, sure, why not?
I'm gonna pretend that I'm a business owner or someone that has an idea, and I'm gonna give you some goals that I have in my mind, and then you tell me if they are smart or not.
Yeah, sure, why not?
And then if they are not as smart, you kind of like translate it into a smart goal.
Okay, sure. Yeah, okay. I like such games.
Let's say I'm coming for a coaching session. I'm gonna say, I want to increase my margins in the next. No, I just want to increase my margins.
All right. First of all, this is very brave. This is very brave. You know. So first of all, you know, margin is good. It shows how profitable a business is. We know that how to measure that, no matter. But the point is that first of all, we should know and get familiar with how the current trends of your business is, and I need to know more about that. But individually, I can say that, all right, let's just focus on the other factors that will determine the margin. For example, if you just come up with that, all right, I'm going to increase my margin, that's totally fine. But let's just beforehand think about, okay, what your sales and forecasts is, what are the, let's say, the costs are. So, and probably we have to dig out the structure of the costings and definitely look at how you're going to sales and what your plan is behind that, because well, you're familiar with this theory of constraints. This is a big challenge for also setting a goal. Like your sales and budgeting, it could be the main limiting factor all the time. Works like obstacle or bottlenecks in the process of planning, which we should get rid of that and resolve that beforehand. So let's just talk about the sales and cost, and then
was my goal smart? So by the sound of it, was not smart at all.
I can say that it was brave, not smart, because brave is something that is much more
so if I want to tell you,
smart.
if I want to kind of change my goal a little bit, and I say I want to increase my margin by 10% over in the next year, how would you feel about that? I think I'm getting a little smarter as I go, right?
Yeah, that's much more. I'm liking it more because this is much more understandable for me. At least I know that what we have to plan for the next coaching sessions, because we are definitely focusing. All right, 10% is fine, because sometimes I always see that within the first 3 years they are thinking of even more than 50 to 60 increase in their margin, apart from whatever type of their applications or I don't know services or products are. They are thinking too much optimistic. Is good, but sometimes it's not working in practice. That is how, if you see the statistics, we will see that 30 to 40% of the businesses, the first 3 years, they fail down, and unfortunately, because of not having this clear idea of what you're going to do.
Yeah, definitely the goal has to be attainable. Well, I really enjoyed this talk. I know we have a lot to cover, so I'm overlooking over my notes. We haven't talked a lot about the challenges that we wanted to talk about at the beginning. My list goes on and on. So how about if we have another session and talking about some of actual financial challenges next time, because we talked about goal setting a lot. How the goal should be and how do you need to plan ahead, have that blueprint and roadmap. So maybe in the next video, we can talk about some of the specific financial challenges and how a finance expert actually can help startups overcome those challenges and become more profitable. What do you feel about that?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely I do agree, because we are actually following this and making this series of a very serious, virtual CFOs thing. And then I'm sure that precious, experiences are being shared with the audiences, and then they're going to enjoy, listening to these talks, specifically since we are, bringing up this very new and challenging financial things on table. Yeah, I cannot agree more. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you very much.
We promised the audience that we are going to introduce a fresh new perspective on how they can manage their finances better, and I cannot wait to have the next session with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.